In this video, I'm going to go through review 2 just to clear up any questions that you might have had. Number 1, if the measure of angle GEH, that's that angle right there, is 53 degrees, find the measure of angle GEF and the rest of them. So angle GEF I see right here, that's the obtuse angle, and I notice that it's adjacent to GEH, and when I sum them, they make a straight line. So I know that's a straight angle right there, that's 180 degrees. So a quick trick for me to figure out what that obtuse angle is just to subtract from 180. So when I subtract that 53, I get 127 degrees for angle GEF. For FEM on the other side there, I notice that that angle is also supplementary to the 127, so I could subtract it from 180 if I want to, but I recognize that it's a vertical angle with GEH because it's across when two lines intersect, and vertical angles are always congruent. By a similar argument, if I know that that's 127 up there, angle MEH should also be 127 because it's a vertical angle with angle GEF. Number 2, if the measure of angle EHF, right there, is x plus 10, and the measure of angle FHG is 2x minus 4, then the measure of angle EHF equals what? So you might look at this and think that you don't have enough information, but notice that they gave you that box there for angle EHG, the bigger angle. So that's saying the whole angle altogether is 90 degrees. So if I sum up my parts of this angle, I can set it equal to the whole, because I know that altogether it should make a right angle. So these two complementary angles, I'm just going to sum. X plus 2x is 3x, 10 minus 4 is 6. I can subtract 6 on both sides to get rid of the 6 there. And if I divide 84 by 3, I find that x is equal to 28. Now I'm not done here because they asked me for the measure of angle EHF, which is represented by the x plus 10 right there. So I'm just going to take one more step to substitute back in. So the measure of angle EHF is equal to 28 plus 10, or just 38 degrees. For number 3 and 4, find the measure of angle QOR. I know it's a little blurry, but that's the angle right there. I notice that all three of these angles that I see here should sum to 180 degrees, and I already have two of them, so I'm just going to subtract from 180 to find them. So I'm going to take 180, because that's the straight angle I see there, and subtract from it both 38 and 52. Now if you wanted to set up an equation, you could set up, label that as x, and do x plus 38 plus 52 is equal to 180, but I like to just do it in one step here. So when I subtract those, I find that my missing angle is actually 90 degrees. So I'm going to mark it with a box there just so I remember that. Now it says to name an angle that is complementary to angle ROS, that angle right there. Remember, complementary angles mean that they should sum to 90 degrees. So not that they are 90 degrees, but when I add the two together, they should add to 90. So I have 52 degrees right here, and on the other side over there, I have 38 degrees. And I notice that when I add those two angle measurements, I get 90 degrees. So it must be the case that angle POQ is complementary to angle ROS, because when I add them up, they sum to 90 degrees. Number 6. The measure of an angle is 6 more than twice the measure of its complement. Find the measure of the larger angle. The first thing I notice here is that they're talking about complementary angles. So I'm going to have some sort of equation where I'm summing two angles and setting it equal to 90 degrees. Now, I don't know what the smaller angle is, so I'm just going to measure that, label that as x. But it tells me that the other angle is 6 more than twice the measure of its complement. So 6 more than is just saying that I'm going to add 6 to whatever I have. And twice the measure of its complement, well, I already labeled one angle as x, so if I want twice that angle, I could just multiply 2 by x. So 2x plus 6 could represent the other expression in my equation here to represent my larger angle. So if I solve that equation, I find that 2x plus x is 3x. And again, if I subtract 6, this equation might look familiar because we already solved this exact equation. And I divide up by 3, I find that x is equal to 28 degrees. So that represents one of my angles, but remember that the larger angle is represented by 2x plus 6. So I just need to plug back in to figure out what that is. So 2 times 28 plus 6 just simplifies to 62 degrees. Now always just double check and add those two together to make sure they sum to 90 because I know we're talking about complementary angles here. Number 7. Given circle A with diameter CB, if AD is equal to 2x plus 3, CB is equal to 5x, find CB. Well, there's a couple of things here. Number 1, they tell me the length, or give me an expression to represent the length of the radius. And remember that in a circle, all the radii are congruent. So AC, AD, and AB can all be represented by 2x plus 3. The reason that helps me is because I could label that 2x plus 3 here, and I could label that 2x plus 3 here, and then all of a sudden I could set up a sum of the parts equals the whole with that information right there. So I could say that 2x plus 3 plus 2x plus 3 is equal to 5x. If you wanted to just double one of these and set it equal to 5x, you also could, but this is the way I'm going to choose to set up my equation. 2x plus 2x is 4x, 3 plus 3 is 6, and that's equal to 5x. When I subtract 4x on both sides, I get 6 equals x. Again, I'm not done because they want me to find CB, so I'm just going to plug back in to find that CB is equal to 5 times 6, or CB equals 30. So that's the length of my diameter. If I wanted the length of the radius, remember that's just half of that, so that's 15.